So yeah, I'd say no, you don't have to be or do fitness or go to the gym, anything like that. I think that fitness is something that people would use as a hobby or a coping mechanism. It's not something you have to do. And it's not for everyone. I mean, so I don't feel like if to date someone, you have to be a certain size. Everyone has their different preferences to sizes. Even at 8's kind of small. Like,
so you would date, so would you date an overweight and or obese woman?
obese.
Ah! Oh, oh, he said obese. Now you're going too far.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got too far. Wow. So if you could just tell us again where you're from.
Yep, so background is my family's originally from Barbados. We're now living just outside London. I've been living here for about 3 years myself. In comparison to New York, it's a small little town. But in comparison to England, it's a big town. So,
But it's a big city in England.
it's classed as a town.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's
Like,
one of the main towns, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you've only been there for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. I just finished my degree here.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. So you went there for your degree.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And then
Degree and family.
okay, so you plan on staying?
Yeah, for now. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great. So what's that like, that difference between living in Barbados, a majority black country your entire life, and now living in England, a majority white country?
I've always lived here. I was born here. So for me, it's normal.
Oh, you were born in England?
Yeah, but family background is Barbados.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay. So for you, it's completely normal. That's all you've ever known.
Yeah, completely normal.
Okay. So like, you know, I'm over here in America. I'm a descendant of American chattel slavery, and we often talk about like trying to make sure that we don't flatten the non-white experience here to being only if you're native, indigenous, or immigrant, but also remembering that descendants of American chattel slavery were stolen from Africa and brought over to America in chains. So, but you are a first generation from an immigrant family. So what's that experience like?
I think no, second generation.
Second generation, yeah.
Yeah. For me, my experience of it is normal because I don't know any different. So I can't really compare it to, say, my granddad's experience. He grew up in Barbados, came over to England in the early 50s. So his experience of this country would be completely different to mine.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, a lot of the rights we have now, they wasn't in place when he came. So yeah, it is totally different. So for me, I can't really compare it to his experience. But I guess it's more or less similar to someone growing up in America.
See, that's interesting though, because I grew up with a very stark understanding of race and of this sort of second-class citizenship that Black Americans have here. So like when you were growing up, did you feel like that was, to me, that was indoctrinated into all of us in the school systems? So I felt like since grade school, Black children are indoctrinated to believe that they are less than, and white children are indoctrinated to believe that they're better. So did you see that kind of indoctrination when you were in school growing up?
Yeah, but I guess when you're in school, you don't really understand it, the full picture of it.
Right.
And you kind of look back. So like, I remember when I was about 23, 24, someone said to me, when did you first realize you was black?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what, it's probably when I first experienced racism in
Mm-hmm.
school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was about 9, 8, 9.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just solely picked on because of the color of my skin. And we was learning about slavery, but
Yeah.
just before with the Civil War in America
Right.
and North versus South, stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say you wouldn't know what's going on unless you're in a household where you're taught that from an early age. The way the system is controlling you, you think that's normal. What you're learning is normal. What you're learning is truth and it's right. So until you get older and see the full picture, you wouldn't know that it's any different, or you wouldn't know it's wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, and that to me is one of the stark differences between descendants of American chattel slavery here in America and Black people here who come from other places in the diaspora,
Yeah,
because we are told as descendants of chattel slavery here in America, we are told like this is what's going on. Like, when I was a kid, Black adults in my family would be like, white people don't like us. And I was very confused because I was going to a private school and I felt the white people were nice to me. So I didn't understand that, and they weren't able to articulate that further. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have a
yeah,
lot of what we have today for them to articulate exactly what was happening. But I definitely feel like I've always been cognizant of being Black. I can't remember. It's like I don't remember when I first believed in God. I just always remember I believed in God. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah.
I believed in God and I knew I was Black. So yeah, that's very interesting.
So you know the private school, you said, what was the dynamics of the private school?
Um, it was bizarre because I was very poor and very Black. But there were people there, like I said, from other parts of the diaspora, from Africa, from Jamaica, who were wealthy and came from
Yeah,
wealthy middle class families. And I more bonded with them and my white peers than I did other Black Americans, if you will. I really didn't bond with other Black Americans in my um, when I was in school as much, because I feel like it's back to what we were just saying. I feel like they were told like, oh, those people really don't like you, so like they interacted with each other more. And I was a theater major, so it was like I can't hang out with Black people when I want because I'm in the theater department. I have to hang out with certain people, and it was mostly
yeah,
white. So, but that's just my whole life. I've done theater and arts and noticed that, but it was different, yeah. Because I feel like I went to Catholic school, and so I had nuns for teachers, and they really, I think they thought they were doing the right thing. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? They weren't like
yeah,
sinister. They weren't like sinisterly like being like, let's indoctrinate them. You know what I'm saying? Um, they taught what they believed in, and I don't feel like it was this like inherent racism, but it was a lot of like I said, just learned behaviors and indoctrinations and um, inherent bias that I noticed from going to school with majority white people more so than like blatant racism. As I got older, the blatant racism became more and more.
yeah,
Um, and so then in my head starts clicking what all these Black adults were telling me about how they don't like you and they don't want you around. And I mean, I think it's the saddest thing in the world, honestly, because kids deserve better. Kids don't deserve to have to deal with those type of dynamics. I'm like, I just want to make friends, but like there's all these crazy race dynamics.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting and tough, but I got through it. Um,
Yeah, I'd say going to a school where you're taught by nuns sounds very interesting. Yeah,
yeah. it's that's also shaped me greatly. I actually was, before I met my husband, I was going to join a nunnery. Straight up, I was going to join a nunnery because I was like, I know at the nunnery, it's not all this, all this one night stand, and they wanted to Netflix and chill. It wasn't even Netflix, back in the day before I met my husband. I was like, we don't even got Netflix.
Yeah.
A dude bought me Domino's pizza once. I was like, this is offensive, like I can't keep doing this. So, I was like, I'll just join a nunnery because I need peace. You know what I'm saying? Like I need peace. I don't need whatever it is guys do, or I don't know.
This nun
How old are you? Are you in your 20s or 30s?
30, late 30s.
What?
Yeah, so
Oh my God.
I'm 40 next year. So
Oh my God.
yeah, it's the filter on the screen. Don't worry, it's the filter.
Nah. Wow. Oh wow. Join a nunnery. Yes, I was going to join a nunnery. Um. Yeah. Wow. So that's crazy because I really thought I was talking to a younger.
No,
Like,
no, no.
I was like, you're one of my students. Okay. So sorry about that. Okay. Awesome. Um, so back to you.
Yeah,
You do fitness and you're, a fitness guru, you teach basketball.
yeah.
How did you get into that and why is that important to you?
Um, I got into basketball. I was youth working. It's probably about 14 years ago, and I found that all the sports that we were using, bas fit and 40,
Yeah.
basketball had the best. It brought more people together, and I found that I could connect with young black people, young Filipino, young Europeans, young English. It didn't matter where they were from. Whereas other sports, it was almost like there was a culture behind it that didn't allow that mix.
Mm.
Sometimes football would allow it, but things like cricket, rugby didn't really have that same vibe. So, and basketball we could do anywhere.
Mm.
So didn't need much money for it, and I started doing it in the community, in schools, using it for people that just come out of prison, people that were on tag, and it just grew from there. Really, I haven't coached basketball for about 2 years now because I was finishing my degree. But once lockdown or COVID or whatever it is finished, then I will go back to coaching
Oh, okay.
basketball. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Same with me. I teach theater, but I haven't taught like this whole year because of COVID. But and that makes me really sad for the kids because I couldn't imagine not being able to do extracurriculars when I was in school. Like that's just
Yeah.
mind boggling. And also I grew up in the foster care system. So I really like could not imagine having to be in a foster home and just like remote learning and being stuck in a foster home. I think that would have destroyed my life, honestly. So
Yeah.
it breaks my heart that this is happening right now and these kids are paying such a hard price.
Yeah, and a lot of, well, not just kids, but a lot of people use sport as their coping mechanism. So to take that away from a lot of people, those people are struggling
Hmm.
even more so. So
Hmm.
the
Have you
sooner,
ways to be able to continue staying fit with the COVID restrictions?
yeah, well, the restrictions were here, but we were still allowed to go out and work out for about an hour a day.
Mm.
So we just went to the local parks, met up with a few people at the parks and stuff. The gyms opened, I want to say about a month ago, 2 months ago here.
Oh, okay.
So people have been going back to the gym. But yeah,
Oh,
other than that, we were just going to the local park and working out.
yeah.
Yeah, just
Mm.
anything you could really. Walking, running, skipping,
Right.
you name it. Anything to get outside and
Yeah.
just keep fit.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of fitness,
Yeah.
there's a lot of dating advice channels with men in particular who emphasize that like women have to be a certain size. And they will even say outright, like a black woman should be a size 4. Um,
Size 4. Oh,
yeah,
hang on. That's
four,
American size though, right?
yeah, a size 4 to 6, which in my head is small, but that's about the average size of an actress, a 4 to 6. Um, so do you believe that fitness is detrimental to finding success in dating for women?
Uh, Firstly, size 4 in I'm not too clear up with the sizes of women's clothes and stuff, but the
Yeah.
size 4 here,
Mhm.
I don't know if they even do size 4. That sounds really small.
Yeah, it
Like,
starts at 0 here.
okay, right.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. So that might be like I don't know. I think it starts at 6 here. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
I don't know. So yeah, I'd say no, you don't have to be or do fitness or go to the gym, anything like that. I think that fitness is something that people use as a hobby or a coping mechanism. It's not something you have to do, and it's not for everyone. I mean, so I don't feel like if to date someone you have to be a certain size. Everyone has their different preferences to sizes and everything else. So I think okay, so that's 8 to 10. That's even at eight's kind of small. Like
So would you date an overweight and or obese woman?
obese.
Ah! Oh, oh, he said obese. Now you're going too far. You
yeah,
gone too far. Wow. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But like, especially with the BMI scale, I mean, we get there pretty quickly. Overweight
yeah.
goes
With
to
BMI,
obesity
yeah.
very quickly, right?
With BMI, I'm overweight anyway. So it says. So
Right, right. Okay.
um, for me, size isn't really important. I
Mm,
prefer women bigger anyway. So
mm, okay.
yeah. So for me, that's not a problem. I would have a problem with someone who's size 4 or 6. I wouldn't find them attractive.
Mm, interesting, interesting. I think a lot of my viewers would be interested to hear that because you are a fit guy and
Yeah.
saying like, I mean, you of course, I'm sure you prefer curvy fit than to just simply, I guess, borderline obese. But you're saying that's not the most important thing when it comes to dating for you.
Nah, definitely not. Because it's hard to explain, but not a lot of people. Oh, sorry, some people that are fit, they might have their personalities might not be great, um, and the exterior isn't a reflection of them anyway. That's just how they look on the outside. So once you crack the outside, that's what really matters.
Oh my God. Oh
And
wow.
I work out for me. I don't work out for anyone else, if that makes sense. So
Wow. I,
yeah,
I think that's a very different way of viewing it than most Americans view fitness. A lot of Americans are like, I work out, I get up early, I'm regimented, I have a budget of calories, and if I have to do that, I want my partner to do it as well.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So I feel like that's how most Americans.
For me, yeah. So for me, I do during lockdown. I did start to say like weigh my food and look at my calories, but at the same time, my partner doesn't. So I like that balance of today we went out and had a burger.
Mhm.
I don't have to worry about it because that's part of the balance. I can eat healthy and then we can sit and eat ice cream and burgers and whatever.
Yeah.
That's just the balance of life. Do you know what I mean? You can't have too much of anything. So
Yeah. Well, I think that's something Americans can learn from people around the world because we definitely are very, you know, uh,
yeah,
strict about, you know, people like to be cliquey in America. So it's like if you're fit, then everyone around you is fit. All your friends are fit.
yeah,
Everything you do is about fitness. So, okay, well, very interesting. Now, speaking of American politics, I noticed a lot online that people will say, like, stop pushing your American politics onto us over here, in the UK or Britain or where have you.
yeah.
Um, So, for example, there was a video that went viral of a young black girl, and she was doing a gymnastics exercise where she could lift her lower body up from the ground, and isolation type of exercise. And
Okay.
so, like, her arms are still on the ground, but like her lower body lifts up and down. And I guess she's the only one in her class that could do that in that way. So the rest of the girls were watching, and the rest of the girls were mostly white. And I commented underneath that post, you know, that I think that that's wonderful. I just hope that she is being protected as a young black girl in that space. And some people were offended by that, mostly people who were not American, because the coach of that team actually ended up following me on Twitter afterwards because she felt so bad. People were getting angry at me, and they were saying, like, why are you forcing this, you know, idea that something bad could happen to her? But you know, I think being preventative about it first and foremost matters. But there was a lot of people who or even there was a young black, and also there was a young black YouTuber um, who died of during childbirth in England. Um, and so we were talking about how, you know, doctors, how black women are more vulnerable in these situations because of racism and structural, institutionalized racism. And people were like, don't push that American idea of race onto us over
Yeah.
here. You know, they were like, we don't do that, you know. But a lot of black people agree over there that that is a problem. So do you feel like racism is as big of a problem in the UK or Britain as it is in America?
Like you said earlier, that it was like shoved down your throat about being black, and over here it's kind of like kind of brushed under the carpet. So I think Americans are a lot more louder with everything. So I
Right.
don't think it's that there's more racism in America. They just talk about it a lot more openly.
Mm-hmm.
And over here, it's more. It's not as. It's not. It is spoken about now, but only in certain environments, certain circles. But the majority of people say that, oh, you know, things have got better. There isn't a problem anymore. It's not that bad as it used to be, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be said for America and here.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that it's everyone's eyes are always on America, whether it's fashion, whether it's music, the media. Every country's always trying to replicate what America are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like Americans, for us, need to lead by example because everyone is watching.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with America shedding light on racism is helping the UK and London and England shed more light on racism. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So there was a conversation on social media recently about Adele wearing Bantu knots. And it was kind of inflicted a diaspora wars, if you will, because people were saying Black Americans shut up, stop speaking for everyone, right? She was wearing a Jamaican outfit and Bantu knots.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this isn't your culture. You guys don't get to say what, you know, who can wear blackness or whatever. So um, what are your thoughts on just the diaspora wars in general?
Um, I didn't have a problem with Adele wearing
Mm.
what she's wearing, really, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there's more going on in life. But at the same time, it was Notting Hill Carnival, or the carnival was supposed to be on. So
Yeah.
thousands of people would have been dressed up,
Yeah.
wearing
Mm-hmm.
certain colours, certain costumes. So
Mm-hmm.
they want to jump in and celebrate that culture. Why not let them? Do you know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
but I do feel like we want people to embrace us and everything around us, but then when they do, we kind of try and shame them. So, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
she's from North London. She's, do you know what I mean? She's pretty from what I've heard, she's pretty well educated on the culture herself anyway. So it's not like she's doing it to get black votes or black people to buy music. It's just it's where she grew up.
Right.
So, yeah.
So London is very diverse.
Very, especially Tottenham. Tottenham is very, very diverse. So someone like Adele would have grown up probably going to Carnival and listening to reggae music and everything else. So that'd be just normal to her. But I suppose at the time now, where you've got everything going on, there's a lot of people that want to anything for an argument, anything to get traction on social media and just keep adding fuel to the fire. And really, she's just trying to enjoy herself. It's not taking anything away from Jamaican culture or Carnival. So.
I mean, I definitely agree with you that there's a lot more going on. And, you know, that's, to me, how a white woman styles her hair doesn't matter to me as much as, you know, systematic racism. That's concern for me. So, like, until systematic racism is solved, I don't really care, you know, about how she styles her hair. But that's something that I notice in particular. People throughout the diaspora react to differently than Black Americans, because I feel like here in America, with the proximity to whiteness that we have and have had for hundreds of years, there's just a very large contention about, and I also feel like that's something that is a distraction. I don't think that it's the best thing to do, but that's what I've noticed is that non-Black Americans are like, well, hey, they're appreciating our culture. They like, you know, we love it. But in Black America, it's not, they don't do things because they appreciate Black culture. They do it because it's popular and they'll get, you know, they'll be seen. So I think that is why Black Americans feel so differently about it than other Black people from across the world, about their cultures being imitated or celebrated, if you will, because they don't really celebrate Black culture here. I remember even up until I was an undergrad, most of my white friends would be like, I hate rap. Like they would come up to you and be like, I hate rap. Like, you know, and I'd be like, you know, I didn't even listen to rap because me, a Black person from the hood, I rarely listened to rap, you know, purposely. Yeah. Because it was so ingrained in me that the non-Black people around me don't like it. And that, you know, they're like, oh, it's ghetto and it's this and that. And now all of a sudden rap music is everywhere. But that's not because they appreciate Black American culture, where it comes from. It's just because, you know, like you said, there's a hyper visibility of American culture and Black American culture, and white Americans can see that and they want to imitate it and they want to have fun. You know, that it's been that way for the longest. You know, Elvis Presley ain't come up with them moves. Elvis Presley, you know what I'm saying? They were sitting up there singing on the Titanic, oh, and then all of a sudden he's, you ain't come up with that. You did not come up with that sound. You know what I'm saying? So they've been taking and elevating themselves on it. So it's just a different feel, I feel like. I wish we could see that and say, wow, they appreciate our culture. This is awesome, you know? But that's just really not what it is. Over here. Yeah. So going into dating, and you don't have to answer anything you don't want to answer.
No, no problem.
What do you think about interracial dating?
I don't see it as a problem. My girlfriend's white, so if both people are happy and no one's being hurt, then I don't see a problem.
Right. It's like, yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised. There's really, so is
I guess there are people that do have problems with it. Certain cultures don't date outside their race.
Right. Certain
nationalities or religions. yeah, some people do have a problem with it, but
So do you feel like in your family, friend circle, or your community, is there like a backlash that on you that you date a white woman?
nah, not at all.
Wow.
Nah, not at all.
Wow. So when you guys go out in public, you don't feel like people stare at you or
You get stared at because you're black anyway, so it
right.
does.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, it's not. Nah, I wouldn't say. It depends on the environment you're in. I mean, when I went back to Barbados with my family, I didn't feel that me or my girlfriend were being stared at any differently
Mm-hmm.
because she's white. Well, to be fair, she doesn't look white. She's very tad and stuff, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't singled out or looked upon differently.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you're going to say a more majority white country and you're black, you might get looked at differently. I
Right.
guess the thing is, black people are probably more welcoming in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only in certain areas. I can only speak for what I know. Some areas might be different, but I don't have a problem with interracial dating. How about yourself? Do you find that?
Enough of the questions. No, I mean, you know what? I'm in an interracial relationship, and that's something that I talk about on my channel. It's one of the reasons I started my social media, actually, because I thought my husband and I would do like one of those channels that people do, and they're like, tee hee hee, and like giggling and doing jokes on each other, and like talking about being in an interracial relationship. And one of the reasons I
Yeah,
wanted to do that was because there's this narrative here in America that, which goes into the next question I was going to ask you about being pro-Black in an interracial relationship. So the majority of Black Americans feel that you cannot be pro-Black in an interracial relationship. Period. Period. So it doesn't matter if you work with kids the way you work with Black kids and you're giving them your time and your energy. And you see what I'm saying? I work with
yeah,
Black kids in New York. That doesn't matter in America. It doesn't matter that I grew up in the hood. I grew up during the crack cocaine epidemic. I grew up getting my ass beat. Just to be honest, I grew up getting my ass beat,
yeah,
right? On that hood shit, right? It don't matter that they grew up in the suburbs. It doesn't matter that they have white family members. You chose to be with a white person. And so now basically like your Black card is, I don't know if it's all the way taken away, but they want to snip it a little bit. And
yeah,
that's something that I wanted to bring a different perspective about. I respect, actually, I don't respect anyone's opinion that I don't care about. So I'll just be honest about that. I don't care. If I don't care about you, I don't care about your opinion. But
yeah,
so to be honest, I don't care about people's opinion about that. But like one thing that came out of that was that people were like, stop bringing your white partner into our Black spaces. And again, as I've said before, a lot of my Black friends are first or second generation, um, to this country, right? So they've always been very welcoming. But Black Americans, like my whole family has like, they're like something about you I don't like. They, haven't seen them in like years, no holidays or anything. I didn't get cards we eloped because I grew up in foster care. I don't have a dad to walk me down the aisle. I don't have,
yeah,
we just wanted to elope. I mean, it was really that simple. Um, and they like hate me to this day because of that. There's always like some reason for them to hate me now because I'm with a white man and we've been together for 10 years. And I've had friends, acquaintances, whatever, that give that same vibe that they can have white friends, they can have white employers, but because my husband is white, there must be something, less Black about my lived experience, when the reality is my husband works 12, 14 hours a day. And it's been that way since we've been together. So like he doesn't come into spaces with me to change my experience of things. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like I run errands by myself. I get groceries by myself. I'm entering spaces by myself, and I'm Black, and that no one is like you know, but your husband's white, because nobody sees that and nobody cares. And his family as well is also like, you know, I mean, they're racist basically, you know.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
like that's the crazy thing about America, is that even though America will tell you like diversity, diversity, it's actually a very segregated country.
Mm.
So all of the diversity, none of it intertwines, and they don't expect it to. Everything is built so that Black Americans are permanent underclass, second class citizens. And even though my husband's parents put him in schools with Black children growing up, they didn't expect him to fall in love with one and bring him home. You know, now we have a problem.
Yeah.
Now we have a problem because, you know, he's white and got blonde hair and blue eyes, and they're not going to get a replica of that. Not my Black ass on the scene. You know, you're not going to get a family that continues to look like that. It's over, right? I signified the end of that, you
Yeah.
know, and they don't like that, you know.
So
So
his family kind of disowned him as well, or
he would love for that to be the case, but the reality is, like, if it's his birthday, if it's Christmas, they like try to reach out, and like
yeah,
it's a year since they've like sent him a card, but they'll still like send him a text message or something. And his mom used to send him a text message and say, Merry Christmas to you and Danielle, but now it's just Merry Christmas, son. You know, so but again, you know, it's like y'all haven't brought nothing to the table. Like, we got married, they didn't give us a card, they didn't give us a gift. You guys can't, they couldn't come to Italy if they wanted to, because they're all morbidly obese. I'm just being honest. So like, they couldn't come to Italy. That's where we eloped. We eloped to Italy. Y'all couldn't afford the flights. Y'all couldn't walk the miles up the hills
yeah.
in Positano. You could. A man died. An old white man, an overweight old white man, died like the day after our wedding, on the street where we were walking in Italy.
Wow.
Right? Because it's a lot of hills, and you're coming from America. You drink beer all day. You're like, let's go to Italy. You walk up one hill, and your heart give out. You know, I mean, so what y'all think y'all was gonna do? Y'all can't come to Italy. You know, so it's like, I don't know what they were upset about. There's never been neither one of our families have embraced us or our relationship.
Yeah.
Whereas I have male family members who are with white women, and Black people are prone to accept that more. They really don't like the Black women with the white man thing, you know? And I mean, I can't help them. You know, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. So
So
I'm gonna
where your boyfriend husband, where's his family from originally? Are they Italian?
we're both from the same city, upstate New York. So in New York State, we live, like, we're both from a city close to Canada, in New
Right.
York. And you know, he grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in the hood, but we both went to private Catholic schools because I went on scholarship. So like, you know, we have a lot in common, but like, his mother wants to act like I'm from like the other side of the tracks. You know, some fucking 80s movie was like the girl from the other side of the tracks. You know, I'm like, I mean, we went to the same schools. I met him in undergrad. So, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, it's
crazy.
other side of the tracks, and I don't know how to behave. And
Did you spend a lot of time trying to prove yourself to them?
oh
At first,
yeah, oh my God, what I put up with. That's one of the reasons we don't talk today, because they know. Whoo, I don't know what his mama expect. I had to really give it to her, and people were like, "You can't do that. That's his mama." I was like, "I don't care, and if he want to leave on it, he can leave on it." That's what people don't get. I don't care. I'm not gonna sit up there. That's your mama. Get your mama. I told him, I said, get your mama. He didn't get her.
oh dear.
What you want me to do? You didn't go get her. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be in her face. But there's been a lot of in person. I've been like, you know what? This conversation is over. Over
Yeah.
the phone, she was She's an Italian woman. Okay, so they're from Sicily. So her mama's still alive to this day. Her mama was sitting there, her little behind in the background. They both cussing me out. I was like, okay. We both going back and forth. And my husband's just like, women. And I'm like, no, it's not, women. Your mother is very controlling. And I understand that it's part of her Italian culture and her mother's Italian culture as well. But like, they have to understand race dynamics here, what they're doing, how they're talking to me, their behavior. If I'm telling you there's a lot of racial insults and abuse here, you need to listen to that. You don't get to tell me that's not true.
Yeah.
Because who the hell are you to tell me it's not true? You don't have any experience with no other Black people. I'm the first Black person in your home, and you treated me horribly. You know, so where I was very gracious to them, and, you know, I would spend a lot of time with them. They showed me all their photo albums and told me all these stories, and I would sit and listen. And my husband would walk away. He wouldn't even, you know, he'd be like, you know, so I was like, I'm doing a lot for your family that your son doesn't have to do for mine because I don't have parents. I'm not going to keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? Well, he don't have to do it at all. You know? My mom passed away and my father is a deadbeat. So he doesn't have to do it at all. And I have to do it every time I interact with y'all. It's not going to happen. He and I are equal. At the same time, don't get it twisted. I'm not a female version of your son. You talk to your son like that. So I had to give her a few reminders of who I am. And I did. And now she knows not to mess with me. But because she can't mess with me, she doesn't know how to interact with me. Then deuces. You know, then you never will. And there's a lot of people that are that way when it comes to me. My family the same way. They've ostracized me. Something I want to talk about with you is colorism, okay?
Yeah.
And colorism is a huge issue here in America. And my family members, being the women being lighter skinned than me, and the men being dark skinned, my color or darker, but they're men. No one in my family is like believes in colorism, right? They're like, you know, you need to get over it and you're making stuff up, and you know what I'm saying? So do you feel colorism is an issue where you're from or in your family?
I wouldn't say my family, no. Not in my family. But yeah, it's definitely an issue in the UK, in America, everywhere.
Yeah.
But I guess it's probably different for women than it is for men as well.
Right.
Yeah. You can have the blackest rapper, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But in his videos, the girls in the videos, it were going to be a lighter shade. So I think there's more colorism when it comes to women than there is men.
And do you feel like that's informed your dating choices?
I feel like, don't want to sound big-headed, but as a Black man, I feel like I have I have the most options out of all men. Mm-hmm. I can date my race, mixed race, Asian, white, everyone. Yeah. Because we're up here. So that's like I said. I think it's different for women and men.
You know, honest, I didn't think I've always seen people dating interracially since I was a kid, and I didn't think that it was an issue at all. But as you said, you know, Black men, they can be rappers, they can be athletes in high school, in middle school, they can have this swag and appeal that dark-skinned Black girl can't or doesn't have. So I never took it personally. I know a lot of Black guys who date white women, they'll always like look at you when they're out with their girl and be like, you gonna say something, bitch? You know, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say shit. I don't give a fuck. But where I started caring was that I know a lot of beautiful, smart Black women who can't find a Black man and they want a Black man. Right. And there is a culture here where in Black America, which is understandable. It's in a lot of cultures to date within your culture, to continue culture. That's understandable. But I feel like to the point where it becomes a detriment is a problem. And I feel like it's a detriment for Black women to limit themselves when Black men don't overall limit themselves. But that's how I see things. Do you see things that way? Do you feel like black women limit themselves in dating more than black men?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Mm, mm,
It's almost like for example, a Chinese man might need to date Chinese women.
mm.
He can't then say that black women don't like me because he wouldn't date a black woman anyway.
Right.
So you got a black woman saying that white men don't like me, but you wouldn't date one anyway. If that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Right. Right. Mm.
Yeah. Whereas I think black men are more open to new experiences and stuff. So.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I think that, I'm sad to say it, but sorry, ladies, but I do agree with that. I feel like black women are afraid to talk to and or approach and or have conversation with men of different races. And that's even the ones that go to PWIs. They'll go to a predominantly white institution for college and or grad school, and they won't interact with any of the white people while they're there, on this expectation that inevitably they'll be joined together in black love with someone else. And it just
Yeah.
doesn't happen that way because all of the black men there are ready, willing, and able to date the plethora of women that they feel is their option. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, black women really limit themselves with that, and then they put on to the men this, why you dating out and why you doing, whereas I've never cared, because I always knew I'm a date who wants to date me as well, you know.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it at all. But like you said, I definitely think there is an issue with the colorism thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's more mainstream media pushing that agenda than it coming from. I don't think people intentionally do it, but when they know that certain shades sell, they then put that shade in front of the camera to get those numbers and make that money. So,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to men dating, I don't think they purposely look for a certain shade of woman.
Right. Mm.
Some men would date anything. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't matter what they look like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. um And also too, I mean, I'll be honest, I feel like when I was growing up, you can definitely see like guys will be like, oh, they have these crazy, ridiculous videos where they'll ask like young black guys, why do black girls? Why do black girls? And they're like, white girls. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're young, but also white people have more resources than black people, and so they can put their children, their daughters, in extracurriculars. So a lot of white girls, they take gymnastics and ballet, and they do soccer, and they play sports all year round, um, in school, where black girls, the majority of black girls, don't have access to that. Dance and ballet, gymnastics, those are very expensive. You can't just nilly-willy do them. It costs money.
yeah,
So I feel like black women don't have access to that. And so that's a large reason why. And then you take being poor and the lack of nutrition when you're poor. And so then, we grow up, we don't have the standard of eating healthy and exercising because it was never put in front of us, you
yeah,
know? So I think that that difference contributes to why uh, black men would feel like, especially when they're younger, that like white girls are prettier than black girls, because they're young and vibrant and they have their fathers in the home, and they don't have the weight of racism on them at 16. There's a lot of different reasons why that woman would be more attractive than, to a black man, than a woman that he knows how she's treated in society, right? I think that, especially for here in the US, I think proximity to whiteness is definitely important to people. Um, so it's like, oh, that means something. That whiteness means something. That, you're just black like me. You see what I'm saying? But like black women don't feel that way because they feel their only option is black men. If black women didn't feel their only option is black men, they might feel similarly. But that's just what I think about that.
yeah. Makes sense though.
So going into the one drop rule, do you know what the one drop rule is?
Yeah.
do you adhere and or believe in the one drop rule, which is essentially, for anyone that doesn't know what that is, the belief that Black ancestry makes you Black. So up, you could have a Black grandfather and you could be Black, and or you could have one Black parent and be biracial, but also you're Black, right? So do you believe in the one drop rule?
I think that the Black gene is more dominant. So not so much the one drop rule, but I do think the Black gene is more dominant. Our DNA. So my daughter is biracial,
Mm-hmm.
but her hair is afro. Like, her genes are more dominant from me than they are from her mum.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't believe in the one drop rule is more systematic rather than social, because they would say in the system, if you're mixed race in the court of law, they see you as Black majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas socially, if you're mixed race, people don't see you as Black. They'll just see you as who you are. You might be John or Steve or Kwame, it doesn't matter. But
Mm-hmm.
in the system, I think the one drop rule matters more when you're talking about schools and you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about law and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's very nuanced, because biracial people can come out so such different ways. They can take after the white parent or they can take after the Black parent. Majority of the time they do take on more features of the Black parent. And so for me, I feel like, I don't have children yet. Me and my husband don't have children yet, but I've always said that I will refer to my children as biracial because they have a whole full grown white parent that me as a Black kid, I know I didn't have. So when you have a white parent and you have resources that your white parent and family members have available to you, to me, I don't think that flattening Blackness and saying everybody is Black is productive for Black people who are at the bottom socioeconomically, and and just in all of these things in life, especially when it comes to, scholarships. And I know that, like, there was a girl who, her mother was biracial and her father was white, and she still got Black scholarships, you know? And so I feel like, so instead of giving the money to the kids that need it the most, who don't have white resources, you're just splitting it all up. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
there needs to be more specificity there. Because, I don't want my kid to take, and I want my kid to have as much in life as possible, but that's why I'm going to give it to them. I don't think that it would be right for my biracial child to take resources away from a Black child that needs it, who doesn't have white family members, So I think that that's where that comes into play with me. But as I've always said, and it's very clear, biracial people will always be welcomed by Black people, and I would say, I would call them biracial Black. If you are biracial, but your culture is Black, then I would say, I would say biracial Black, right? So I'm biracial and my culture is Black, right? But there's a bit of a distinction because you have white family members, like that's all that it is. It's just acknowledging, which wouldn't you want to do? Wouldn't you want to acknowledge your white family members? To say that you're Black, to me, it seems like you're saying like you didn't grow up with your white family members, whereas a lot of most biracial people are the product of a Black man and a white woman. And so the reality of that, especially in America, at least, and so the reality of that is that these children are growing up in white families. They're growing up in white homes because the parents oftentimes don't stay together,
Mm-hmm.
and they end up living with their mom and their mom's family. And they feel Black a lot of the times when they're in families that are racist and use the N-word. And I know I've had a good amount of biracial people tell me my mom's white family members called us the N-word and treated us, and that's why they feel more connected to their Black side, even though they sometimes don't even know their father, right? But they feel like more connected because they're like, when I was around those people, look how they treated me. And they're always going to be welcome because that's our culture. They're a part of us. That just like any Black person is a part of Black culture. A biracial Black person is a part of Black culture. But there's a lot of biracial people. Some biracial people are white and Asian. So, I'm saying, like, this idea that like all biracial people are Black, you don't want to put that out there because it's not true. All biracial people are not Black. Some of them have no Black in them, right? So I think that's why it's important to differentiate that, because we are definitely seeing a sort of erasure at the moment. I don't know if you see that, but a lot of Black women are pointing out that they feel there's an erasure of the unambiguous Black woman's image in place of an ambiguous biracial Black woman image. So have you seen that where you're from?
To a certain degree, yeah.
Mm.
But I do. Oh, recently there's like a daytime TV. No, what's it called? Like a women's chat show thing, and now they have 2 Black women on there. And that was kind of unheard of, to have 2 Black women on this type of middle class TV show. And it's not like they've cherry picked a Black woman that's going to say the right things. They've actually got a Black woman who knows our culture and is very respected in the culture. So it just depends on the platform, really.
Yeah,
I think it really does depend on the platform they're on.
Yeah.
But I can see why it is harder from a Black woman's perspective. Looking in, it is harder because you've got so much more against you. So it doesn't matter if you look left or right. There's someone trying to get in front of you.
So do you feel that Black men show Black women reciprocity in love and support in general?
It's tough. I think the cultures are different. With America and the UK,
Right.
It's very different. Like just you were saying about the M words. In America, you guys use that freely. Like it's used daily. Whereas here,
Right.
I probably hear that word probably 5 times, maybe 10, maybe 5 times a year, if that. Unless I'm listening to I listen to rap music. So there's certain things we over here we just don't do.
Right.
But in America, it's normal to them. So, yeah, I think they do support them, but it's not going to be the same support everywhere.
Right.
Depending on how that Black man grew up, depending on their family unit. Was the dad there? Were the mum and dad together? Did the dad run off with someone else? And there's so many variables to it. So it's hard to know why they're not supporting them, or if they are supporting, what were the reasons behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. It's definitely nuanced, and it's going to be different depending on where you are for that experience.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dan, for your time. We're running out of time. We only have a minute left.
Oh,
So,
really? Okay.
is there anything that you want to share with us before we close out?
You can catch me on YouTube. We're going to put this on YouTube though, right? Afterwards, anyway.
Yep.
So yeah, and hopefully we could do another one of these.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm like, I had so much more. That's one of the things I wanted to do it on YouTube because there's no time limit on YouTube, but figure it out and then we'll be able to just have a free for all. But yeah, definitely. It's been such a great conversation. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it really. It's been great. I've enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Dan. I had a great time. I love your voice. As soon as you started talking, I was like, whatever, I don't care. Yeah. So awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I feel like this is really important. I mean, it's a very different perspective, but I feel like people don't get to hear it. And so that's why so thankful that you're giving this to us. Thank you for asking
Anytime.
me a few questions. You know, finally someone cares about me. But thank you. That was so nice. And I look forward to seeing you again.
No problem. Speak to you again soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.